This is the John Brown Alliance, where we don't fear, we fight. It is Saturday, October 4th, the fourth day of the beginning of the restoration of this democracy, or the fourth day of our rapid descent into authoritarianism. If you're like me and you keep up on current events, you know that right now, legacy media and corporate media, by the time they get hold of videotapes and other types of information, they're about 3 or 4 days old. If you want to stay up on what's going on and be prepared for what's to come to your neighborhood under the Trump regime, I think you should drop that type of media and join independent media and content creators here on YouTube and other platforms. This is where the revolution is happening, not on TV. That's intended to keep you satisfied. They do the same story over and over again. And you keep watching because you want to watch somebody else tell you what you want to hear. Well, we're not here to tell you what you want to hear. We're here to tell you the truth. So please like and subscribe to this video and any other podcaster that I agree with or don't agree with, so that we move up in the algorithms and you can get this type of content every day when you log into YouTube. Today I want to talk about personal sacrifice. For the better part of 30 years, I have been a civil rights activist. So yes, in some ways, I've seen this movie before. I could tell you what was going to happen, and I have tried to do so out on the streets rather than on social media, because I did not want to have to come here and do this. As a child of a family, a large family, heavily law enforcement, military, and public servants, one thing I learned throughout those years is how to spot a liar, when a lie is told, when somebody's looking left or looking right, and they're not telling you the truth. And I have used that knowledge throughout my days to keep myself safe. Now, we have lauded our elected officials, occupants of the White House, I will use as names for some, and presidents as others, and our Supreme Court as above us. And it has come to my attention that those people are as flawed and broken as the rest of us in many ways. Now, I'm not giving them an excuse to behave in a way that violates their oath to the Constitution. However, they are. We did not take that oath. They did. Each and every last Supreme Court justice took an oath to the United States Constitution to uphold the law as it is written, not according to opinion, not according to who is in office, but what is written and what is guaranteed by the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. They have failed to do so. And in that respect, they are lost to this country right now and should be treated as such. If you come and participate in Washington, D.C. in a No Kings March on October 18th, which may be too late, please focus your attention on the Supreme Court. for that which they inflicted on the American people by saying that Donald Trump and his administration is immune from any prosecution or crimes they commit under the office of the presidency. Those individuals need to be held accountable. That's first and foremost, because that was supposed to be our last safeguard to keep Americans safe. Now, what you have right now is a situation that did not exist during the Civil Rights Movement. It did not exist during the Vietnam War protest. It did not exist during Reconstruction and even after slavery. What you have right now is a government that has been sabotaged by a cult, turned inside out onto the citizens who live here. Back then, you had a Supreme Court that would hear cases that made sense, that would hear cases where they could take the Constitution and validate their decisions. They didn't just put stuff out there and how to have an explanation for it like they do now. The United States government is right now, under Donald Trump, a terrorist organization with a small sect of people who still adhere to the United States Constitution and respect the rule of law. Herein lies our problem. 73% of the United States citizens who do not hold public office do not agree with what is going on right now. Those 73% are comprised of disabled, veterans, doged people from their jobs, and folks who are mandated to pay a system that does not represent them. This is extortion. To take it one step further, all free media, all entities that this government put together in order to promote the welfare of its citizens and democracy around the world have been disabled. Yet, the people that provided food for USAID, the people that provided vaccines for countries that needed them and did not have the wherewithal to get them, those are all gone. So there is no government shutdown. The government was shut down on January 20th, 2025. Now, all of these entities, all this investment in countries that had these issues was for the defense of individuals in the United States of America. And let me explain that. If a person comes over here from another country and they have a communicable disease, there were systems in place that would eradicate those diseases overseas so that they didn't get here. That started to stop when Donald Trump stole the election the first time. And he let those diseases come in here. And now not only is this happening again, but it's been doubled down by anti-vaxxers for the sole purpose like last time, of depriving minority communities of the life-saving Medicaid, Medicare, and vaccines needed to keep them alive. Therefore, without touching one single black, brown, or red person in America, performing listen to what I'm about to say, germ warfare and genocide. Now, if you don't believe me, let me take you back to the first Trump administration when they had vaccines, masks, and other things available. There was a stockpile here in the United States. Jared Kushner claimed that as ours, meaning his, meaning the Trump administration and white people who followed them. What happened after that? Ron DeSantis decided that a small population of white Republicans were going to be the first to receive vaccines, all the while being anti-mask, saying open up everything, because they knew that if we followed and listened to their bullshit, we were going to wind up dead. Thank God some people didn't. At the same time, Donald Trump sat up there in the White House and said that he was not sending necessary life-saving supplies to blue states because they don't like him and they didn't vote for him. Now we have this same Trump effect tripled. And the target is you. And if you voted for him, I hate to say, you got exactly what you deserve. But the difference between us, it doesn't matter what state we live in. Real Americans are more organized right now than they were in the 1960s, in my opinion. We have been contacting one another. And before you panic about finances, there are people already working on structures right now that would save American people from financial decline, especially people of color. This has been in the works for some time. It's been no mystery to me. I knew this was going on the whole time. What I also knew was going on was at the same time that all these computer programmers and people that were not loyal to Donald Trump, military professionals with 30 and 40 years of experience in warfare, in counterintelligence, in interrogation, in all of these fields, people in medicine, scientists, all these people were cast out in the street like a bunch of fucking dogs. And you want to know where they're at? Right here among us. That's where they're at. And they're not sitting around twiddling their thumbs wondering when the check is going to come after this shutdown is over. They're out here actively participating in their own lives and the preservation of those lives. Now, personal sacrifice is a big thing in revolutions. Because as a disabled person, I have every reason to just latch on to whatever Democrats are saying and say, hey, I just want you to preserve my Medicare. But I need to see past that. You preserve my Medicare, and then what? We don't get food stamps. We don't get this. We don't get that. For 10 years, I have been applying for disability. Even though I paid into the system since I was a teenager, and I haven't gotten dime one. I've got stonewalled. I've got my papers lost that I had to retrieve through the Postal Service, which lawyers were supposed to do. I got misrepresented, misdiagnosed, and every possible thing that you can think of that could happen to a human being and make that person quit. But you know what? When I thought about what I sacrificed, I said it is not enough. Because whatever my fate is, by making this video, disagreeing with Donald Trump, or not getting my medications, it is not worth one elderly person, 90 or 80 or 70 years old, being tossed out on the street out of a nursing home because Medicaid isn't covering it. Not one. So I say to my colleagues in Congress, and I say colleagues because I have the power as an American, not you. We elected you to represent you. You are my colleague. You are not my boss. You are not my savior. You are not my hero. You are someone I represented to represent me. And that goes for the red states too. If you're sitting around and you're doing your find the fuck out stage as a MAGA person, and you come from a red state, yes, you, people in red states, you have an obligation to hold these people you elected to account. If you put garbage in Congress, then it is your obligation to remove it. Not sit here and whine every fucking day about what somebody isn't doing for you. You did that. I didn't do that. Blue states didn't do that. But yet we have to pay for your shit. Which brings me to my other point. Before anybody starts to calculate when this government shutdown is going to be over, let me be clear. This government shutdown is not about health care. It might be for Democrats in Congress, but that's not all it's about. This is our last chance to stop this shit on a legal level. What's to come after that, you cannot hold us accountable for. And let me back this up and explain what I'm talking about so you can process this information. It is unreasonable for people, especially in Congress, in the Senate, to talk to us about peaceful protest when they are doing the bare minimum to keep us from getting killed. Yes, I said it. We don't get to drive back and forth in nice cars and go sit up in the Senate and the House of Representatives and then drive back home and walk our dogs around the fucking neighborhood. You know why? Because we lost our cars. We don't have money for security. We don't have police everywhere we go. We're out here fucking free balling off of your shit. Okay, so this isn't just about health care. And no matter what you do in the coming days to make your so-called deal with Donald Trump, that has nothing to do with us. We demand nothing less than life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And we expect delivery pronto. Now, however, you have to do that when you have access to these individuals that are taking that away from us. That's your business, not ours. Yes, as American people, we have to take responsibility for our own future. But at this point, if you do anything less than make our lives safer on the streets, not from these phantom black and brown people, but from ICE and the United States military, until you do that, you don't represent us. You do not allow a terrorist to negotiate the terms of our future. That is not why you were elected. We did not give you the power to cherry pick which issues should be compromised for our freedom. We didn't give you our tax dollars to go to Magus Casino and gamble on our fucking lives. And that is absolutely what you're doing right now. You might open your government, but the shutdown starts today, October 4th, 2025, Saturday. And we call it a general strike. In a couple of weeks, the people that you depend on won't be able to afford to come to work, taking down major operations in every city in the United States of America. That's how the economy works. Not by people bullshitting us and telling us there is going to be no recession and that there is no inflation and skinning and grinning and having fucking parties and shit. That's not how the economy works. We need something in our hand that can fold, and it's called money. And if we get none, you get none. So bear that in mind when you make your decisions in the next few days, because that's going to decide whether you become one of us or one of them. And if you decide to cross over onto the other side, you don't have to worry about an election. That's going to be the least of your worries. But as Americans, if you don't join the general strike, whether you do or not, and a government shutdown will be the least of your worries. Now, if you are afraid, that is understandable. But for every one of you, there's 1,000 of us who are not, who are skilled at this, who are good at this, and this is not our first rodeo. Always remember, only 30% of the United States population subscribes to this bullshit that's being inflicted on you. Why should you be a victim in that? 70% does not. There are 340 American citizens in the United States of America. 2 guns for every 1 person. Now, this is not advocating violence. This is talking about a scenario, one of which took place 249 years ago. Right is right and wrong is wrong. And you have to pick if you're going to be on the American side or the fascist side. That one opportunity is right now. And that time is passing us by. Every minute, you're not paying attention to what exactly is going on and doing something about it. The difference between courage and a hero is one thing. Heroes and courage don't talk about being heroes. They don't talk about how courageous they are. They don't call themselves badasses. They shut the fuck up. They do the work. And they never expect accolades. That's what a hero does. And if you're looking for one above your station in life, an elected official, someone in the military that's terrorizing your neighborhood, some asshole in MAGA, some terrorist organization in MAGA, or even your so-called president, you're looking at the wrong people. If you're looking for a hero, you need to look in the mirror, check yourself, and act accordingly. And not according to what somebody told you should do, but what you know better to do. This is the John Brown Alliance. When you see something wrong, do something right.